Look at this chart. It shows the growth in house values across the 20 largest cities in the US. On average, it's up by 4.6% over the past year. Now let's compare it to Dubai. Dubai's average value growth is twice as high overall and 5 times higher for villas. So the burning question is, how can a US citizen invest in Dubai real estate? Can you get the same profits as locals? And even more important, do you benefit from the same tax advantages? I'm Jay Abrams, a former management consultant and banker, now focused on helping investors achieve the highest possible returns from real estate in Dubai. And in this video, I'll cover the 20 most important questions American clients ask us on a weekly basis. Starting with the question number 1: how much money can Dubai real estate make? Well, it really depends on the area and the unit, but let's look at the averages and compare them to the US cities. So the money comes from two sources: reselling at the higher value and renting it out. Let's start with value appreciation. Here is a graph showing the average Dubai residential real estate value growth. And here is the US National Home Price Index. Since 2021, the residential property value growth in Dubai was 84%, while the US average was 41%. The difference is even more significant for villas, which have grown by more than 120% since 2021. Now rent. For this, I'll use the UBS report that estimates how many years of rental income are needed to pay back the purchase price. For Dubai, it's 15 years on average, the same as Miami. In San Francisco, it's 19, in New York, 20, and in Los Angeles and Boston, 22. I know Dubai's numbers in detail, and UBS's estimate isn't 100% precise, but is in the right ballpark. The same might be true for the US cities, but overall it gives us a sense of how these markets compare. And to give you the full picture, let me share an investment case for a successful property. For example, those who invested in villas on Palm Jumeirah back in 2016. Amount invested, including 4% DLD fee, was $2.7 million. Average price increase is 210%. Rental income over the years is $1.4 million. Service charges over the years, $95,000. This gives a total income of $6.8 million US, and ROI of 351%. Even those who invested in Palm Jumeirah villas later in 2021 achieved a 256% ROI. These are exceptionally high returns for such a short period, and you shouldn't expect these numbers from just any random investment in Dubai. But some might challenge this whole premise by saying, yeah, you should have invested 5 years ago. Now prices are crazy high. Let's figure this out. Question number 2: is Dubai real estate overpriced? I suggest we look at this from a few angles. First, real estate might be overpriced if it's unaffordable for residents. Let's check the same UBS report. It shows how many years a skilled service worker needs to work to afford a 650 square feet apartment. Our own calculations were quite close. In Dubai, it's 6 years, the same as in Boston, and 1 year longer than in San Francisco and Miami. And according to this report, New York is a bit higher at 8 years. Second, there could be potential oversupply or declining demand. Dubai's net population increase in 2024 was 160,000 people, which translates into demand for about 53 to 64,000 residential units. That doesn't include second homes or Airbnbs. Meanwhile, supply was around 30,000 units. So right now there is no oversupply. But the question is, what happens next? Different sources predict an average of 50 to 70,000 new units per year over the next 3 years. These numbers are quite close to the demand projected for future population growth. Third, prices might be unreasonably high for their square footage and quality offered. Here is a chart from Knight Frank showing how many square feet you can buy for $1 million in prime areas. In Dubai, it's 980 square feet. In Los Angeles, 409 square feet, 646 square feet in Miami, and 366 square feet in New York. it would be incorrect to say that prices in Dubai should be the same as in major US cities. This data shows us that the numbers are not crazy high, and there is definitely a potential for future growth. But the purchase price isn't everything you pay when buying a property. Question number 3. What are the property acquisition costs besides the price? It depends on whether you are buying from a developer, which we call off-plan, or on the secondary market. Off-plan acquisition costs are the purchase price, 4% Dubai Land Department fee, and around $2,000 administrative fee. Secondary market costs are also the purchase price, 4% Dubai Land Department fee, same as off-plan, 2% agency fee, and trustee and legal fees, which are approximately $4,500 total. So, for example, if you're acquiring a property priced at $500,000, the off-plan total is $521,500 and the secondary market total is $534,500. But even if you get a property at a good price and secure a nice rental income, another big question remains. Question number 4. Which taxes do I need to pay? This isn't a tax advice, so please consult the tax professional before doing anything. But even though it might seem that there are no taxes in the UAE, there are some hidden fees you should be aware of. In general, the UAE, including Dubai, has no personal income tax and no capital gains tax for individuals. Here's what that means for real estate. First, when you buy a property and do it with crypto, you don't pay capital gains tax, unlike in many other countries. Second, when you rent out the property, the rental income isn't taxed in the UAE. And third, when you sell the property, your profits aren't taxed in the UAE either. However, you still owe taxes in the United States. And since there are no taxes paid in Dubai, you won't have a foreign tax credit to offset your US tax liability. The good news is you don't pay US property taxes on property located outside the US, and there is no property tax in Dubai. But there is something called a housing fee. If the property is not rented out, you'll pay a 5% fee based on the Dubai municipality assessed annual rental value. For example, if the property's assessed rental value is $20,000, you'd pay $1,000 in housing fees. But if you rent it out with a 1-year or longer contract, tenants cover this fee. However, there is also an additional benefit when you invest in Dubai. Question number 5. What would be my expenses after the purchase? There are 3 major cost buckets. First, housing fees. We just discussed them. Second, service charges. These are the standard fees paid by all residents to developers, who use this money for property maintenance. This includes common areas like pools, gyms, and parking. The more complex the project, the higher the charges, and they typically range between $3 to $6 per square foot per year. For example, a 1-bedroom apartment may cost around $2,500 to $4,000 annually in service charges. A 2-bedroom may be $3,000 to $5,000, and 3-bedroom $4,000 to $6,000. And third, if you don't rent out and you live in the property yourself, you'll have standard utility bills like water, electricity, internet, and gas. Americans also often ask about homeowners association fees. There is no such thing in Dubai. The closest payment we have here is service charges. Question number 6. How do I get a residency or golden visa? There are 2 types of visas you can get, each with slightly different benefits. The first one is called the investor visa. In order to get it, you need to spend a minimum of about $203,000. It gives you a 2-year residency visa for you, your spouse, and your children. It's renewable as long as you own the property, the ability to open a bank account, the right to rent another apartment in Dubai long-term, which isn't available for non-residents, the option to enroll your children in UAE schools, and the ability to apply for a UAE driving license. To keep this residency, you must visit the country at least once every 6 months. If you don't, your visa will be cancelled. But there is a way to get a long-term residency without having to visit the country regularly. It's the golden visa. To qualify, you need to purchase property worth at least $546,000 US. The good news is you don't have to spend it all at once. You're eligible for the visa after you pay a 20% down payment and 4% DLD fee. There is no need to pay the full sum immediately and no need to wait until construction is finished. With the Golden Visa you can also include your parents, and there is no age limit for your children, unlike the Investor's Visa, which doesn't cover sons older than 25. And if it all makes a compelling case for investing in Dubai, you need to choose the right property. Of course, the main thing is location. Question number 7. What are the best areas to invest in? What you should know is that Dubai develops super quickly, and the list of best areas also evolves. So my answer could be quite different if you asked me a few months from now. And of course, it all depends on your goals. But what I can do in this video is give you a kind of universal list. For those who are looking to secure a stable source of passive income, now some of the best areas for renting out are GVC and Arjan. They are relatively affordable and have an excellent rent-to-price ratio of about 7% on average and 9 to 10% in the best projects if you invest at the right moment. You shouldn't expect exceptional value growth though. They are growing in line with the market. But if you want a bit of both rental income and value appreciation, take a look at GLT and Dubai Land Residence Complex. Dubai Land is still in an early stage of development, so you can get in at a relatively low price point of around $200,000 and benefit from the area's future growth. GLT is a more mature area near Dubai Marina, but it's more affordable, growing quickly, and provides solid rental returns. For value appreciation, there are two types of properties that consistently grow faster than the market. First, waterfront properties. On your screen is a chart comparing beachfront projects' performance with the market average. Areas that have a beach are growing 1.7 to 4 times faster than the rest of the market. And right now, two areas are at very early stages of development. Maritime City, which will be a master community by Beyond and Omniad, and Dubai Islands, a set of artificial islands aiming to become the next Palm Jumeirah. Second, villas and townhouses. They are growing significantly faster than the market average, 1.5 times faster since 2021. Their supply is quite limited, and as more families come to Dubai, villas are becoming the hottest asset. One of the most affordable options right now is the Mak Islands. It will be a large community with artificial lagoons and around 10,000 villas and townhouses. The starting price for a townhouse is about $630,000 US. In the luxury segment, the main project is Oasis by Emaar. Emaar is investing $20 billion US to create a huge green area with spacious villas built around artificial lagoons. This is a prime project with a median villa price exceeding $4 million US. We have a separate video on these areas. The link is below. But location is not everything. Another big factor is the developer. Question number 8. What are the best developers for investing in Dubai? We made a separate video not long ago that covers 10 developers we think are the best in Dubai, and some of them are still under the radar for most investors. But for now, let me share a few of the most well-known names. First, Emaar, of course, is the most well-known developer, responsible for roughly a quarter of all new projects in Dubai. They sell out the best units very fast, often in a matter of hours. Their main strength is creating hugely popular master communities, such as Creek Harbor, Downtown, and Dubai Hills. All of them are Emaar projects. Because these communities are close to other developers, Emaar can raise prices with each new launch. This boosts the value of existing properties and drives investor profits. Second, Nahil. They have an extensive track record of developing massive areas that have significantly outperformed the market. Like Palm Jumeirah. Villas on the Palm Jumeirah have tripled in value over 10 years and more than doubled in just the last 3 years. Third, Miraz. They're behind some of Dubai's most desirable communities, like Madinat Jumeirah, Bulgari, and Blue Waters. Prices in Blue Waters, for example, have risen by an average of 143% since 2021, compared to the 36% average for Dubai apartments. But the list of strong developers is much longer, and their projects aren't equally attractive, so you'd better get some help. Question number 9. Who will help me to make a great real estate investment? For every state, of course. We're not affiliated with any UAE developers and are focused on helping you make the most money out of your real estate investment. We'll help you find the perfect property, explain the payment plans, run all the numbers, and guide you through the whole purchase process. We handle everything end to end, and it's absolutely free. Call or WhatsApp us, scan the QR code, or click the link in the description to get a free consultation with my team. And one of the questions my team frequently answers is, should I buy a secondary or an off-plan property? As an investment, both options can be great, but the choice depends heavily on your circumstances and goals. Why a ready property might be a better option. First, if you need a place to live in Dubai immediately, waiting several years for construction isn't feasible. Second, if you are a resident, you can get a mortgage. Technically, overseas investors can also get one, but practically it's not a great option. I'll talk about this later. Third, if your goal is to start generating rental income as soon as possible, a secondary market property is ideal. It's ready for occupancy and can begin generating returns right away. What speaks in favor of off-plan? First, you can get an interest-free, flexible payment plan, basically allowing you to spread your payments 2 to 6 years. Second, buying properties under construction also lets you make more money because the buildings gains value during construction. It allows you to enter an emerging area at its earliest stage, so that it has greater potential for appreciation over time. Third, off-plan purchases are easier process-wise. You work directly with the developer, finalize everything quickly, and don't even need to visit Dubai. Buying a ready property can take up to 3 or 4 months, because you'll need a mortgage approval if you're applying for one, find a property you like, negotiate the price, and close the deal. During this time, prices may change and sellers can sometimes back out at the last minute. And if you decide to go for an off-plan, you probably want to negotiate the price down. So the next question is, can I get a discount? You can sometimes, depending on the developer and the project. However, in some cases it's impossible, and you'll just lose the opportunity to get a unit because you didn't act quickly. That said, let me give you some examples so you get a sense of possible discounts. Small boutique developer, 1 unit, 2% discount just for asking. Medium-sized reputable developer, 1 unit, 2% discount for paying 10% of the property price before the official launch. Big international developer, 1 unit, 4% discount for paying the full amount in cash. Medium-sized international developer, 1 unit, 10% discount for paying the full amount in cash. One of the biggest developers in Dubai, 12 townhouses, 5% discount for bulk buying. Big private developer, 2 floors, 20% discount for bulk purchasing. While everyone focuses on price, there are other significant aspects you can negotiate, like the DLD fee or the payment plan. We explain this in detail in a separate video titled How to Achieve VIP Status with Dubai Developers. The link is in the description. Next question. What financing options are available and which one should I choose? We touched on this earlier, but let's dive deeper now. Mortgages aren't available for off-plan properties, only for secondary ones. And even for secondary properties, mortgages are less popular among foreign investors, because the down payment is typically 40% compared to 20% for residents. The interest rate is also higher, and approval rates are lower. When you buy off-plan from a developer, you can pick a flexible payment plan where part of the payment is made during construction, and the remaining balance is paid after you receive the keys. Different developers offer different splits. The portion paid during construction usually ranges from 40 to 90%. These payments are typically tied to specific dates or construction milestones, and they're interest-free. However, there is a scenario where interest is hidden. Some developers offer multiple payment plans. For example, Imtiaz often has a 50-50 option and a 70-30 option, with the remaining 30% paid in equal monthly installments over 30 months. It looks convenient because you can rent out the property and use the rental income to cover the payments. But pay attention to the total price. This extra flexibility usually adds about 5 to 10% to the cost. Technically, it's interest-free. Practically, you pay more. Now let's move to question number 13. Do I need to visit Dubai to buy a property? No, not if you're purchasing off-plan. Everything can be done remotely. You pick the project and unit with your agent, make the payment, and then, after a while, the developer sends you the sales purchase agreement, physically or digitally. You sign it and continue paying remotely. If you wanna buy a ready property though, you'll need to visit Dubai. It's mandatory that you or your legal representative be physically present during the transaction. But that's just part of the purchase process, which differs for ready and off-plan properties. So let me walk you through it step by step. Question number 14. What is the process of buying a ready property? There are 7 steps. Step 1. Agree on terms with your agent. Price range, area, number of bedrooms, and commission. The commission is typically 2% as a market standard. Once that's settled, you sign a contract between you and the broker. Step 2. The agent searches for properties that meet your requirements and arranges viewings or online tours until you find one you like. Step 3. After choosing a property, you issue a deposit check for at least 10% of the property price. This deposit shows your commitment and safeguards the seller if the buyer backs out after signing the Memorandum of Understanding. Step 4. Sign the Memorandum of Understanding. This is a standardized Dubai Land Department document that outlines the terms of the sale. Step 5. Hand over the deposit check. Step 6. Finalize the property transfer at a trustee office. This authorized third-party office facilitates real estate transactions on behalf of the Dubai Land Department. It verifies documents, collects deal deed transfer fees and other charges, and processes the payment. You or your representative must be present in Dubai at this stage. Step 7. The Dubai Land Department issues the title deed in your name. Question number 15. What is the process of buying an off-plan property? I'll try to make it straightforward. Just 5 steps. First, submit an expression of interest or EOI. This step is optional and usually applies if the project is at the pre-launch phase. To express your interest, you make a fully refundable prepayment, typically around $10,000. This payment puts you on the list of buyers. Those who pay earlier or pay more get priority and can choose from the available units first. At this stage, you need to provide your passport. Some Americans get nervous because of this, but just know it's a normal procedure in Dubai. Every developer requires a passport to reserve a place in the queue or a specific unit. Step 2. Book the apartment. This applies if the developer hasn't yet set up an escrow account. You'll pay 10% of the total price to reserve the apartment you've chosen. In return, you'll get a booking form with details like unit size, floor, and payment plan. It's also normal for the booking payment to go into the developer's regular account rather than a project escrow account, because the escrow usually takes quite some time to set up. These regular developer accounts are regulated by Dubai Land Department, so as long as you're going with a reputable developer, there is no need to worry. Step 3. Make the down payment. The down payment is usually 20% of the total price, with 10% booking amount included. Around the same time, you'll pay a 4% Dubai Land Department fee and a small developer fee. Step 4. Sign the contract and pay the balance. The document you'll sign is called the Sales Purchase Agreement or SPA. Developers can take up to 2 months to prepare it, and once signed, you start making payments according to the agreed schedule. And the final step, handover. At this stage, you inspect the property. If you find any defects, the developer must fix them. Once everything is finalized, the property is handed over to you, and you receive the title deed, officially confirming your ownership of the ready property. We have a detailed video on the step-by-step process of investing in Dubai real estate if you want more in-depth information. But there is one step in this process that can sometimes be tricky for US citizens. Question number 16. How do I make a payment? Let's break it down. You basically have 3 options. Pay by card, online or at the developer's office, make a wire transfer, or pay with crypto. Paying by card sounds easy, but in reality can be complicated. If you have American Express, it often won't work. Some developers accept it, but many don't. Your bank might also have transaction limits and could block your card if you try to pay $10,000, $20,000 or $30,000 at once. And sometimes the payment processor just doesn't work for whatever reason. Wire transfer is more reliable. A PDF receipt or screenshot is usually enough to confirm your place in the queue or that you made a booking payment. So no need to wait for the money to actually land in the developer's account. Be aware that if you don't include the developer's IBAN in your wire transfer form, the money won't reach them. Some banks don't specifically ask for IBAN, so pay close attention. The third method is crypto. You can simply send USDT to the developer's wallet address. Now let's say you succeed with the first payment, but there are more payments to come. Question number 17. What if I fail to pay? First, make sure you're not in a situation where you're failing to pay right from the start. Often people plan to sell before handover and fail, or don't consider that construction might finish faster than expected. Selling before handover can be tricky, and I'll talk about that soon. Faster construction is a real possibility with some developers. A knowledgeable real estate expert should warn you if that's a risk. But if you still end up in this situation, here's what happens. First, grace period and notifications. The developer emails you about the missed payment deadline, requesting that you pay the outstanding amount. Second, Dubai Land Department involvement. If you still don't pay, the developer notifies the DLD, which then issues a 30-day official notice to you. This is your last chance to settle. Third, the consequences of non-payment. If the 30-day notice period expires and you haven't paid or reached an agreement, the DLD issues an official document in the developer's favor. Then the consequences depend on the construction stage. If 80% or more is completed, the developer can ask the DLD to auction the property to recover the unpaid amount. If 60 to 80% is completed, the developer may cancel the agreement and keep up to 40% of the property value. If less than 60% is completed, the developer can terminate the agreement and retain up to 25% of the unit's value. If you see payment difficulties coming, tell your agent and the developer immediately. That way you have time to negotiate a solution. Question number 18. Is it possible to resell the property during construction? There are two questions behind this question. First, are you allowed to sell the property during construction? Yes, you are allowed. I know it's often different in the United States, but in Dubai you can sell before the construction is finished and before all the payments are made. Different developers have different conditions for selling though. Typically they set the share of the price that needs to be paid before you can do that. Normally you're free to do so after paying 30-35% of the property price. But there is a second question. Will someone buy a property under construction from you? And will you make a profit? The truth is that many factors can prevent this. Reselling during construction works best with highly demanded and unique assets. If the unit isn't particularly special, buyers are more likely to go for a ready property. And if the developer hasn't sold out their inventory, buyers may choose to purchase directly from the developer instead of paying a premium to you. Also note that many secondary buyers do this with a mortgage. But if the property isn't ready, they won't be able to do so. They'd have to pay the amount left before the handover, and then mortgage the remaining part. But if you decide not to resell during construction, you might be interested in the question number 19. What will be in the apartment when I get it? The bare minimum is plain white walls, tile on the floor, kitchen cabinets, and plumbing, such as toilets, a shower or bathtub, and sink. You'll also get at least one parking spot. That's the simplest package. Some developers provide kitchen appliances, ranging from basic to high-end depending on the project. And you might also get your apartment with the interior design package, and sometimes even fully furnished. Getting a furnished apartment is a bit controversial from an investment perspective. On one hand, you can rent it out on Airbnb immediately after you receive the keys. For long-term rentals, though, furnishing isn't necessary. Residents are used to unfurnished apartments. On the other hand, developer-provided designs are usually quite standard and all the same. So your apartment might look exactly like others listed on Airbnb, and no differentiation equals worse occupancy rates and lower price leverage. Speaking of rent, let's get to question number 20. How to rent out the property and who will manage it. Let's break this down into two cases: long-term and short-term rentals. First, long-term rent. Once your property is handed over, you can start the process. You'll need a real estate agent who will handle everything, including finding tenants and preparing all the necessary documents. In Dubai, rental payments are made through checks. Tenants provide named checks that can only be deposited in your favor. These checks have specific dates and when the date arrives, you simply deposit the check into your bank account. The entire process, collecting and depositing checks, is managed by the agency. For landlords, these services are free because agents earn their commission from the tenant. Additionally, tenants are responsible for utilities, property maintenance, and housing fees. They must also return the property in the same condition at the end of the lease. The only major expense that stays with the owner is the service charges. Second, short-term rent. In this case, the property must be furnished or upgraded before it can be rented out, unless the developer has already taken care of that. Alternatively, you can delegate this to a property management company, as they have the expertise and have done it hundreds of times. A property management company will also manage your listings on platforms like Airbnb and Property Finder, dynamically adjust pricing, address guest complaints, and organize cleaning services. This approach involves additional costs. Besides the service charges, you'll also pay utility bills, housing fees, and management fee to the property management company. These management fees are typically around 20% of the rental income. Well, that's all for today, but we've got plenty more valuable insights to share. If you want to learn more about investing in Dubai real estate, check out this video.